What up, everybody, and welcome back to another Thai Talk. This is gonna be the Thai Talk, my Lion King live action review. So y'all know how I do with movies. I really like to. I'm gonna talk about my overall thoughts. Then I like to hit on the negatives first, so I end up on the positives. Okay. So we're gonna jump right in. Lion King, of course, like I'm pretty sure, just like it's my favorite Disney animated movie from the 90s, it's probably a lot of y'all's favorites. So had very high expectations. So the director, Jon Favreau, I think that's his name, he was the one that directed the live adaptation of Jungle Book, which for me, I liked that Jungle Book more than I liked the cartoon back in the day. So I had high expectations. I don't necessarily think the movie reached those expectations or surpassed it. But I did say I thoroughly enjoyed the movie. I'm glad I went and watched it in theaters. It's not better than the original, but I did have a good time. And I think it was more faithful to the original than some of the Disney live action adaptations. So like, Aladdin was a little bit different. Maleficent was definitely different than the normal Sleeping Beauty. So stuff like that. But I'll just jump right in on what I didn't like about the movie as we move forward, okay? So I think I'm just gonna go ahead and jump into the things that I didn't like about the movie. One of the first things that stuck out to me was the dialogue. Sometimes it seemed a little bit jumpy. It didn't seem coherent. Wasn't really meaningful. It was like almost through this halfway between trying to stay to the same dialogue that the original cartoon had, but also change it up some. But I don't know if it was how they thought people was gonna feel about seeing these realistic animals talking, these realistic lions. But the dialogue just was not good to me. Like they weren't giving, the characters didn't have a lot of substantial things to say. And it kind of just, for me, it kind of messed with the flow of the movie. And I was like, either just be all in, like you all in. We know that these are CGI lions. They talking, like be all in with it and just let them talk. Or you shouldn't have did it like that. But yeah, they did. And dialogue was one of the problems that I had. I think these next two, character-wise, are probably the biggest disappointments I had with the movie. So Scar. So let me try to get his name right. Chiwetel Ejiofor, who plays Scar. He's been in a few different things. I think he was in 12 Years a Slave. He was Mordo in Doctor Strange. But he disappointed me in this movie. I've been seeing a lot of people saying they liked him, but he wasn't menacing enough to me. I know Scar is not like this big, bad, strong villain, but he's conniving, he's manipulative, and then he has like that role he can take on where, okay, you can kind of fear him a little. His voice is just, his voice was not Scar for me. I needed something a little bit more darker for him to be, and he just wasn't that. I think the other thing that I really didn't like was young Simba. I mean, I have nothing against the kid. I think his name is J.D. Payne, and he works, and I think he does, Tyler Perry rebooted House of Pain, and I think he's in that reboot. Nothing against the kid, right? But I think, for me, two big things that his character did that kind of took it away from me. The one was he just did not hit, I Just Can't Wait to Be King. He did not hit that musical number. It was not good for me. I didn't like that. He didn't sing it right. He didn't have the notes. He didn't have the range to sing that song in a way that it should be sung. And I'm not a singer, but I can just comparing it to what the cartoon version was. And I know there was a tweet going around like Jason Weaver should have came back. Now I don't think Jason Weaver can still sing like he did back in 1993, but I just would have wanted that song to be better because that's such a important song in the story. And then the second thing that got me with his character that made me disappointed in his portrayal of young Simba was when Mufasa died. That kid didn't convey the emotion that I needed in that moment. And for me, like, that's one of the most emotional parts of the movie. Going back to the cartoon was when Mufasa dies, and that kid's emotion just completely took that away from me. And I think in that moment it was so disappointing because, up to that point, the way they portrayed the relationship between Mufasa and Simba, I was so sold into that. Like, I really believed that those two lines on screen, that Mufasa was the dad and young Simba was the son. Like, I believed that. I brought into that relationship maybe even more than I did in the cartoon. And then you get to this big emotional moment where I thought the stampede and that whole scene was actually great. But when you after he had died and Simba ran down there, it was like, okay, young boy did not do what he needed to do in that moment. Which is what I also felt like that moment was very short. Like, we didn't stay in it long enough. Like, I think it needed like another minute in that scene, but I assume maybe they cut it out because the kid wasn't able to pull the emotional weight in that. And so that's one of the other disappointments that I had. I think going from that, I didn't enjoy Can You Feel the Love Tonight number. I think the song was great. Donald Glover did okay. Of course, Beyonce is gonna body any song that she on for the most part. But Can You Feel the Love Tonight? And the scene wasn't that night. Like, that is such, for me, because I even went back and watched the cartoon today. And I was like, I want to see that scene again. And it was at night in the cartoon. I think it might have started out in the day, but by the time it ended, it was at night. And it was like, Can You Feel the Love Tonight? That's the whole name of the song. And the scene, that whole scene was not at night at all. It turned into night after it was over. And I was just like, bruh, y'all couldn't do, well, you're not going to see the lions well at night? Like, what was it that stopped them from doing it at night? I just think that was a bad creative choice. And yeah, that part of the movie couldn't live up to me. Those are things I didn't like. It wasn't a lot, but I think they were significant. I think the next part I'll go to is, of course, Beyonce. I'm going to give Beyonce her own little section like she deserves. She's the Queen Bee. But I was thoroughly surprised with her performance. I wouldn't say that I'm like a low-key Beehive for the most part, but I have always stated the fact that I don't think Beyonce is the best actress. From the roles that I've seen her in, and then she also did an animated movie a few years ago. Probably more than a few years ago, probably like back in 2012, 2013. I was working at the movie theater at the time, so it had to be one of those years, the latter half of 2012 or the first half of 2013. And she did an animated movie called Epic, and for me, watching her voice on that cartoon just didn't work. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know what she's gonna sound like as Nala. Real funny, there's like this, if you don't know Jay Nova, she's like an artist that kind of got famous at first, like impersonating Beyonce's voice, and she had came out with a video, and I was just like, oh my God, this is really what Beyonce's gonna sound like as Nala the whole movie. But she didn't. She did pretty good. I felt like she was able to convey emotion well in the role, and I wasn't taken aback. Like, when I heard her voice, it didn't like throw me out the movie and be like, oh, that's Beyonce. Ain't nobody cheering out theater. I know I was seeing tweets that people have been cheering as soon as she start talking. that didn't happen in my theater, but she did okay. She did better than what I expected. Maybe other people's expectations was higher, but mine was I had modest expectations, and she achieved that. She did better than those. But what I will say is, I feel like Disney, for this movie to have been so true to the original cartoon, you can tell they definitely went and added scenes to beef up Nala's part, right? And honestly, when I think about those scenes in the context of the storyline, the pace, they felt forced. So when she escaped from Prior Rock to go run away, did we really need to see that? I don't think so. I think the only reason we had that scene was because Beyonce was Nala. We didn't have that scene in the cartoon, and nothing in the cartoon made me think, how did Nala escape? And so you just had this whole little element with her. You had this whole little element with her in the head, hyena, whatever. I can't remember her name. And it was like, okay, did we really need that? I mean, we knew Nala was a good fighter or whatever because she was pinning Simba. But it was like, okay, did we really need that? Her little moments at the final battle, like, Lions, are you with me? Whatever. I know the Beehive is going crazy over that verse, but it just, for me, it felt like those extra moments for Nala felt forced because they were doing them just for Beyonce. Still love Queen Bey. Don't be dropping no bees, no bee emojis on my video, okay? So I'm in that part of the top where I'm gonna go into the stuff that I really liked, and to be honest, I hate to say it, but the best part of this movie, with all this black excellence in the cast, was the white people. The white people was the best part. So Seth Rogen as Pumba, Billy Eichner as Timon, and John Oliver as Zazu. They was the best parts of the movie. The Hakuna Matata. Like, I think when they released that as a promo, people was like, oh, why did they remake it just the same? Yo, I love that part of this movie. I love the Hakuna Matata segment of this movie. Like, it was one of the main things that, like, got me, like, back in the moment, like, oh, this is Lion King. But then it was still also different enough that made me like enjoy it. So I'm not gonna say like the songs was different enough, which I don't know, because I can't tell you when the last time I seen the animated version of Lion King. But like even the joke at the end, like after the end, I think Simba was like, "Can we keep going?" And Timon and Pumbaa was like, "No, we need to take a break. Like you done grew 100 and something pounds since we started. We still the same size." So yeah, like that was funny to me. Their dynamic, their lines was hilarious every time. Seth Rogen and that Billy Eichner guy as Timon was on the screen. It was really good. That was a really good part of this movie. I enjoyed it. They did really well. I would say people, y'all might not like me for this, but I would say that is a part of the movie that actually is better than the animated section to me, was Timon and Pumbaa's impact in this movie compared to the other one. I think I like their portrayals more than I like the animated version. Really good. And then John Oliver as Zazu was funny too. Like when he was saying that little joke about the woodpecker, like I felt that was funny. His little moments were cool. Also, and this might be funny, this might be a knock towards John Oliver, but hearing a bird talk and sound like John Oliver seemed more real than the rest of the movie did too, with the animals talking. But yeah, they were the best parts of the movie. The white folks in the movie was the best part. So just to continue on with what I really liked, young Nala was really good. And I don't know if it's just because in comparison to young Simba, who I didn't like, or she was just really good from the part. I think it was just because she was really good, and that made Simba, young Simba, stick out more as not being good to me. But yeah, I think her name is Shahidi Wright Joseph. And from what I saw, she also has played Nala on Broadway. And I seen Lion King on Broadway a couple of years ago. It came to the DPAC in Durham, which is where I got the shirt from. I don't know if it was her then, but yeah, she did really well as young Nala. And I think maybe her time playing Nala on Broadway really made her feel like she owned that character. And her portrayal seemed like she owned that character. Like I felt like that Nala was hers. And she did a really good job. Proud of her. James Earl Jones, of course. I think having him there too also gave it that feeling of this is Lion King. Like this is this beloved cartoon that we had, and I don't know if this movie can work if it wasn't for him as Mufasa. Like it take away some of that dynamic, but seeing him there again was really good. The Stampede sequence was awesome. Like even though I knew, like everybody knew that Mufasa dies then, right? And even though I think even though like I said earlier that I didn't think young Simba portrayed that emotion well after Mufasa's death, but during the Stampede sequence, I felt that. Like I was anxious, I was in it, I was worried about what was gonna happen when he jumped up and that got knocked off that tree. Like I felt all of that, even though I had seen that before. Like the stakes in that moment were still high for me, even though I knew what the outcome was going to be. And I think that's good movie making right there for me. If you know the outcome, but you can still evoke that emotion. Yeah, I enjoyed that sequence. I think another sequence that I really enjoyed, and this is a thing that's different from the original, was how Rafiki got the hair from Simba's mane to know that he was still alive. Like, yeah, I really enjoyed it. Like when, like, just watching that hair float away, and then I can't remember the whole order. I know at some point, I think a bird had picked it up, and a bird took it to the nest and dropped it in for the chicks, and then the other bird was like, "Nah, they ain't eating this," and like took it out, and then it floated some more, and then it got to where a giraffe ate it, and then next thing you know, you see a little dung beetle pushing it out, and then it falls, and the wind blow, and then an ant pick it up. Y'all, that segment was so cool to me, and that was better than the original too, because like I think the original he like just plopped down on those flowers, and Rafiki like smelled them or whatever. I don't know what it was, which Rafiki is kind of into some witchcraft for my people that we was talking about that. But that was a really good part of the movie. I enjoyed it. I like laughed through it. Yeah, that was really good. And yeah, those are the things I loved about the movie. Those are the things I really like about this movie. So, just to wrap up, I know there were some characters that I didn't really hit on in this talk, but I say like these, I guess for me, these people didn't really have an impact on my viewing experience of the movie. So like Donald Glover as Simba, I was like, okay. I mean, he did okay. I think because it's hard for me, I think, personally, to rate his performance because I was so dissatisfied with some important moments for young Simba that by the time it got to grown Simba, I was like, okay, it's whatever. He's doing okay. Like, he can't be worse than that. And then I think after Woodard, like, I was like, I didn't even realize it was her most of the time. And I don't know, I think that was a little disappointing if you have somebody Alfre Woodard is kind of like, legendary, I would say, as far as black actresses go, and like the length of her career and the type of movies she done did and the performances she brings to roles. But I was like, okay, I guess that's Alfre. And then the new take on the Hyenas, that was like, okay. They weren't overly comedic like they were in the cartoon. I mean, you still have some comedic moments from the two of them. I think they changed their names too. I'm not sure if they changed the names for all three of them, but definitely for the two like dumber ones, because I think one of their names was like Ed or something. But yeah, I mean, it was okay. I don't think it made an impact. I thought it was weird that they kept putting some emphasis on that lead hyena, and I think they did that to beef up Beyonce's part two at the end. So it was like, okay, whatever. And then yeah, that's really the thing. I think overall for this movie, if I had to give it a rating, I would say probably about 6.57 out of 10 or a 3 out of 5. Yeah, I think overall I enjoyed the movie. I'm glad I wouldn't watch it in theaters. I would encourage everybody to go watch it in theater. I think one of the things like this, when you have something so beloved, like The Lion King, which I think this is what the problem Disney's going to run into with all these live adaptation remakes, okay? You have these movies that are 20 plus years old now, right? That are so beloved. These movies, The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Lion King, Aladdin, like they like was renewed Disney animation, right? They are like what made Disney animation like pop again. And so not only did they did that, you have those kids like me, millennials, that were children when these movies came out, and now we're grown, and so we have such an affinity for those movies that I think, regardless of what quality movie they're gonna make, people are gonna be happy or unhappy, which I think is a little bit different from, let's say, like the MCU, right? Because overwhelmingly people have loved Endgame and Infinity War and a lot of MCU movies. But the thing is about those are the first times that this is the MCU. This is the first time that those stories have been told on the big screen. Yeah, you might have seen them in a TV show or in a comic book, but it's the first time that those stories have been told on the big screen. And so I think with these movies, it's a lot harder because the way people care about them, right? That's like if someone says they're gonna go remake Harry Potter, right? You're gonna have a lot of feelings about that, or the same way people are treating Star Wars, which is a movie franchise I don't watch. But yeah, those are my thoughts. I enjoyed the movie. I had a good time with it. I wouldn't say it's the best live adaptation right now. I think I definitely liked it better than Aladdin. I would have to go, and I think right now it's a little bit hard for me to compare it to Jungle Book because I didn't like the Jungle Book cartoon movie like that as much as I like the Lion King cartoon movie. So my connection to the Jungle Book live adaptation was different than my connection to this Lion King because of how I felt about the originals. But yeah, let me know y'all thoughts about what y'all think about Lion King, this live adaptation, what you liked, what you didn't like. Yeah, would love to hear y'all thoughts. Thanks for listening to this Talk.